What's up, guys? Today I decided to give you guys a ranking of these Star Fox games. This is a series of games that began in the early 90s and continued pretty much onto the release of the Wii U. This is a series that I have always enjoyed, and I don't think there's really a bad game in this series, but there are a few that I consider a little bit more lackluster than others. So without further ado, I decided to give you guys my ranking from worst to best. Star Fox Command. I actually rather do enjoy the concept of this game. It's actually the last released chronologically in the original timeline, but the main thing that holds this game back and the reason it comes in last place for me is quite simple, and that has to be the controls. While some people actually may really put this game higher on the list, and that's completely understandable, for me the controls in this game are just not good. You have to use a stylus for everything. All the movement is used on the stylus and the DS screen, and it just cramps my hand up. I really just wish there was an option to fly with the D-pad, and if there was, this thing might rank 1, 2, or even 3 spots higher. But as it stands, it literally hurts me to play this game. It's not a bad game, mind you. It's not anything that I would consider terrible. But if you don't like using stylus to control things like me, you're not going to have a great time with this one. Up next, we have Star Fox Adventures. This is kind of an interesting game here, because it's not really a Star Fox game. This is originally a game that was going to be released on the 64 by Rare called Dinosaur Planet. It had a fox protagonist, and basically Miyamoto took one look at the game and said, hey, let's turn this to a Star Fox game. So they retroactively put in a few flying missions, changed the main character to Fox McCloud, and you have Dinosaur Planet, but with Star Fox. It's really not a Star Fox game. It's made by Rare, and it's very entertaining. I actually think it's a decent Rare adventure game, but is a piss poor Star Fox game. The R-Wing controls are not great in this one. They just feel kind of floaty and not really tight and concise like the previous games that came before it. And everything that with a ship is just really tacked on in this game. It is cool to go around this dinosaur planet and fight stuff with a staff. Like, as a game, it's fine, but it should have just stayed Dinosaur Planet. Up next is the original Star Fox, released for the Super Nintendo. I actually do have an original copy of this, but I have it packed away at the moment, and I just don't really feel like unpacking all that to get to this game. But you can actually play it on the Switch store, online store, or you can play it in this Nintendo Classic System, which is actually very fun, and I actually recommend this. The original Star Fox, everything you want in a cool sci-fi game with some amazing controls and amazing action along the way. The original Star Fox also is one of the first games that kind of utilized 3D. It's not technically a 3D game, it is 2D, but they do like a trick to make it look like 3D by the way they render the game, and it's actually pretty damn cool. It's very interesting for its time, but it is a little clunky. There's no crosshair in the game, for instance. The life bar goes down really easy, and there's a damn good challenge here. It's probably one of the hardest in the series. And it's a very unique and fun experience. I do love the original Star Fox. It's not my favorite, but holy crap, is this a fun Super Nintendo game. Up next is a game that you can see I don't own anymore, and that would be Star Fox Zero. Star Fox Zero was a very fun and interesting experiment where they tried to use the Wii U's control pad as more or less a cockpit. And if you can get past the wonky controls, the game's actually pretty damn fun. It's more or less a remake of Star Fox 64, but on the Wii U. And while I do enjoy the game, I do think it has some problems. For instance, I don't really think that using the gamepad was a great idea for the first-person cockpit controls, and it's really wonky. But if you do get used to it, you're going to find yourself playing a damn good remake of 64. Enjoyable, fun, clunky as all hell, but still a very enjoyable Star Fox game. Up next, we have Star Fox 64 3D. Unlike Zero, it's not a full-blown remake, more just less just a graphical overhaul. But I really do enjoy this game. It's not quite as fun as the original 64, because the controls aren't quite as tight, and that game was just perfectly made for the N64 controller. But if you want 64 on the go with better graphics, I recommend this game. There's really nothing not to love. It even has the original control scheme if you want it, or a more modern control scheme. And it's honestly one of my favorite games on 3DS. Next, we have a game only released digitally and in the Nintendo Entertainment System Classic Edition, and that is Star Fox 2. A very interesting story behind this one. Essentially, this game was completed and was supposed to be released in 1995 at the tail end of the Super Nintendo's lifespan. But unfortunately, they decided to cancel the game and just focus on releasing Star Fox 64 a couple years later. It's a damn shame, too, because this game is such an improvement over the original. with the ability to use a chicken walker, which wouldn't make another return until Star Fox Zero, as well as other vehicles and just really unique gameplay. It blows the first game out of the water. It's so unique, so fun, kind of short and a little easier, but it's weird and abstract, and I really love it. It's unfortunate that it took damn near 30 years for us to get to play this game, but I do think it was worth the wait, and I very much enjoy Star Fox 2. If you have yourself a Switch, I recommend checking it out. It is very fun and a gem that sadly only recently got released. Coming in at number 2 is Star Fox Assault. This is the sequel to Star Fox 64 that I always wanted. They kept making remakes and re-releases of 64, but we finally got a full-blown proper sequel with Star Fox Assault. After the disappointing Star Fox Adventures on the GameCube, people pretty much thought that was it for Star Fox games on the system. But right at the tail end of the system's lifespan, Star Fox Assault was released. This game is great. It doesn't have branching paths like 64, but it does have 10 awesome levels where you get to go around as Fox on foot, or in the R-Wing, or in the Landmaster. Really fun 3D space battles. Even the ability to jump on the top of your plane and shoot people with a bazooka and then jump back in. It's really freaking cool. This is, I think, the most underrated Star Fox game, and not a lot of people give this one a chance. And most don't even play it. It has a fun multiplayer mode, really fun gameplay. It does acknowledge Star Fox Adventures, and Crystal is even in this game as well. But it's a fun continuation that honestly just doesn't get enough love. And man, does Fox look creepy on the back of this box. Holy hell. All in all, just a great game that does not get enough love. If you haven't played Star Fox Assault, I recommend going out and giving it a shot. It is the hidden gem of the franchise and the last great Star Fox game released, in my personal opinion. But you just can't beat the classic, and that's Star Fox 64. I actually don't have the copy of mine right now. I actually let my brother borrow it a little while back. I love Star Fox 64, and it's one of my favorite games of all time. It is my absolute favorite game that you can beat in under an hour. It is one of the best games on Nintendo 64, and it's easily in my top 10 favorite games of all time. It's just a damn fun rail shooting space game where you get to play as a character named Fox McCloud and go through the Lylat system, fighting off this army led by the evil Andross. It's your goal to save the Lylat system from this evil threat and redeem your father, who was killed at the hand of Andross. It is just an amazing game, released for the 64 back in 97. Fun multiplayer, great single player. There's nothing not to love about Star Fox. It's available on the Switch if you want to try it out, and I highly recommend it. One of my favorite games ever released. Just a pure gem from that magical moment in time when N64 ruled the world. Well, that's my list. I know that some of these games can be a little more expensive these days, but I do recommend pretty much all of them, except for Command, as you don't mind stylus controls. I think they're all fun and unique in their own right, and I really wish Nintendo would give this series more love. They just kind of like trickle out a few releases every now and then, but it's kind of sparse. It's really nothing compared to like the quantity of Zelda and Mario that we get these days. Fox is a great character. Even in other series like Super Smash Bros., he's awesome. And I hope one day that we will see another Star Fox game and a proper sequel that continues the story instead of just another remake of 64. I thank you all for watching. Leave your list down below if you'd like, and peace out.